Think you know American history? Think again. Studies show that over 80% of Americans fail this quiz on their own nation's past. Today, we're going to challenge what you think you know about pivotal moments, famous figures, and historical events that shaped the United States. Let's see if you can beat the odds and join the elite 20% who truly understand American history. When was the Declaration of Independence actually signed by most of the delegates? August 2nd, 1776. While we celebrate Independence Day on July 4th, most delegates actually signed the document on August 2nd. July 4th was when Congress approved the final text. Which of these was not one of Christopher Columbus's ships on his first voyage to the Americas? Mayflower. The Mayflower brought the Pilgrims to Plymouth in 1620, over 125 years after Columbus's voyage. Columbus sailed with the Santa Maria, Nina, and Pinta. Where did the Pilgrims first land in America before settling at Plymouth? Provincetown Harbor, Cape Cod. The Pilgrims first anchored at Provincetown Harbor in November 1620 before establishing their settlement at Plymouth. Who actually completed Paul Revere's famous midnight ride to warn colonists about British troops? Samuel Prescott. While Paul Revere began the famous ride, he was captured by British troops. Samuel Prescott was the only rider to complete the journey to Concord. What was the first official capital of the United States? New York City. From 1789 to 1790, New York City served as the first official capital of the United States under the Constitution. Which U.S. president never lived in the White House? George Washington. The White House wasn't completed until 1800, after Washington's presidency had ended. John Adams was the first president to live there. Which president served the shortest term in office? William Henry Harrison. He served just 31 days before dying of pneumonia, which he likely contracted during his lengthy inaugural address delivered in bad weather. What does the acronym GOP stand for? Grand Old Party. The Republican Party has been known as the GOP since the 1870s, though originally the Democrats were the older party. How long is a U.S. Senator's term? Six years. Surprisingly, polls show that fewer than half of Americans know this basic fact about their government. Representatives serve 2-year terms while senators serve 6-year terms. Before the 17th Amendment in 1913, how were U.S. senators chosen? By state legislatures. The Founding Fathers did not intend for senators to be directly elected by the people. The 17th Amendment changed this to direct popular election. What was the primary cause of the American Civil War according to the secession documents of Southern states? Preservation of slavery. While multiple factors contributed to tensions, the Confederate States explicitly cited the preservation of slavery as their primary reason for secession in their official declarations. During World War II, which group was not subject to internment by the U.S. government? Chinese Americans. Following Executive Order 966, over 100,000 Japanese Americans were interned, along with thousands of German and Italian Americans. The Vietnam War was fought in which of the following countries? Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. The conflict extended beyond Vietnam's borders with significant U.S. bombing campaigns in Cambodia, Operations Menu and Freedom Deal, and Laos, Operation Barrel Roll. What event triggered U.S. entry into World War I? Both A and B together. While the sinking of the Lusitania in 1915 turned public opinion, it was the combination of that event with the 1917 Zimmermann Telegram, Germany proposing an alliance with Mexico against the U.S. that led to America's entry. What was the outcome of the Battle of the Alamo in 1836? Mexican victory with all Texan defenders killed. The battle ended with the death of all Texan defenders, including Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie. It was not fought for American independence, but for Texas independence when it was still Mexican territory. When did all women in the United States gain the right to vote? In 1920 with the 19th Amendment. Despite women making up over half the adult population, they couldn't vote nationwide until the 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920 after decades of struggle. What did the Emancipation Proclamation actually do? Freed only slaves in Confederate states. Lincoln's proclamation only applied to states in rebellion, not to slave states that remained in the Union. Slavery wasn't fully abolished until the 13th Amendment in 1865. When did slavery officially end in all U.S. states and territories? December 6, 1865, with ratification of the 13th Amendment. While Juneteenth, June 19th, celebrates when the last slaves in Texas learned of their freedom, slavery remained legal in some Union states until the 13th Amendment was ratified, which was not a goal of the American Indian Movement, AIM, founded in 1968. Integration of Native Americans into mainstream society. AIM actually fought against forced assimilation and for sovereignty, cultural preservation, and treaty rights. When did the modern gay rights movement begin in the United States? (1950s) with the Mattachine Society. While the 1969 Stonewall riots are often cited as the beginning, organized LGBTQ+ advocacy began in the 1950s with groups like the Mattachine Society and the Daughters of Bilitis. What happened to accused witches during the Salem witch trials? They were hanged. Contrary to popular belief, no one was burned at the stake during the Salem witch trials. 19 people were hanged, and 1 man was pressed to death with heavy stones. What caused the crack in the Liberty Bell? A flawed repair attempt after an earlier crack. The bell cracked shortly after arrival in Philadelphia in 1752. An attempt to repair it in 1846 actually made the crack worse, and it hasn't been rung regularly since. Who actually designed and sewed the first American flag? Multiple seamstresses, possibly including Ross. The Betsy Ross story emerged nearly 100 years after the fact from her grandson's account. Historical evidence suggests multiple people were involved in creating early flags, with Francis Hopkinson likely designing elements. What does the United States not have officially at the federal level? A national language. Despite common belief, the United States has no official language at the federal level. English is the de facto language, but the government has never officially designated it as such. Which of these American foods was not invented in the United States? Apple pie. Apple pie recipes appeared in England as early as 1381, centuries before the American colonies were established. The phrase "as American as apple pie" only became popular in the 20th century. And that concludes our challenging quiz on American history. If you enjoyed this challenging quiz, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more historical deep dives. We post new content every week designed to expand your understanding of history beyond the myths and misconceptions. What historical topic should we explore next? Let us know in the comments below. See you in our next video.